Planning Commission recommendations, Public Work Directors. Number 1 is a conditional use permit, Scott and Raquel Lundberg.
The first public hearing that we're going to discuss tonight is in regards to the conditional use permit at the Waller House, which is Scott and Raquel Lundberg. The main discussion point that happened around that particular topic was the topic of dual purpose using for the parking stalls. So in this particular case, they have dual use, they have tea parties as well as overnight stay. And so the recommendation from the Planning Commission is to extend their conditional use permit for 12 months so that they can come into a compliance. And the second part of the recommendation is also to have the council direct the Planning Commission to review the parking ordinance to see if there's a better way to word that to possibly allow dual use parking stalls where there's clearly no conflict between the two uses.
What's the wish of the council?
Make a motion. No one else will?
I'll second it.
So they're really asking for a 1-year extension.
The Planning Commission is recommending a 1-year extension for the parking at the Waller House, yes.
We've got a motion by Councilman Goshek, second by Mayor Van Riesingham for the conditional use permit for the Scott and Raquel Lundberg. Is there any more discussion on it?
Yes, I'd like to put a little input there. Their request came because they checked into adding additional parking. There was a requirement for 9 off-street parking spots. If you joined the two businesses together, that's like if they'd hold it at the same time. That would be pretty expensive for them, and it would probably cost more than how much revenue they would generate from using the tea parties there. So we're looking into giving an extension so they can continue for now, and then, like he was saying, coming into compliance. But the dual parking we're talking about is, they were saying the tea party does not happen at the same time as they would be dealing with clients coming in for bed and breakfast. So would it necessarily need to be where they had to have 9 off-street parking? When you look at it, maybe 6 would be sufficient. So we're asking the council to recommend the Planning Commission to look into this and maybe come up with a better way. We don't want to push away business in town. We want to hold it or create as much as we can. And so we want to look into this and be fair about it.
Greg, how many years have they been non-compliant?
They had 12 months to come into compliance, and I believe that was last May when they got their conditional use permit. And so they had 12 months from then to come into compliance, and so we're now reviewing their
But before that, they were operating that before, correct?
I believe you are correct. I don't know the answer to how long that was though.
Well, my concern is just, I get calls from the neighbors in that area that it's, I believe that's on 3rd Street, correct?
Yes.
And I think there's already some semi-parking in there because of the courthouse, some certification of drivers for semis.
Over the road, that could be.
And it's just getting very intrusive on the neighborhood there. And so, I mean, I'm leaving this council, this will be my last meeting tonight, but I just, if we have rules and regulations to follow, I don't know why it takes as long as it does to comply. And it's not fair to the neighborhood, and we want to be good neighbors to our neighbors. So,
Well, Mr. President, first of all, I think originally they didn't know they weren't in compliance because of some inaccurate information that was given to them when they first opened up the B&B. And second of all, I know that when they first came to the council with this issue, we had letters and support from the neighbors stating that they were in favor of them operating this business as such, and wanted the city to work out a situation that they could continue operating it and move forward. So, you know, I think that the Lundbergs have done a good job, and they've been extremely good neighbors, good people for our community. And I think that we need to do the best that we can do to make sure that they stay here and that they can operate a business that they're gonna make profit at.
But again, I want to state that there are neighbors that do feel like they're being put upon. And they want to keep quiet about it, and they want the neighborhood to get along. But if they can't tell their elected official this, of course they can tell their elected official, and they need representation.
The thing is, they're not violating, they're in violation, but they're not misusing it because they have the parking spots. When they have their tea parties, because we got the restrictions on their tea parties, they can only have them at certain times. If they have tea parties, they can't have bed and breakfast. So they ain't having people there that are having a conflict. So they got parking spots if they have bed and breakfast, they got parking spots if they have tea parties, but the tea parties and the bed and breakfast can't overlap. So they have the extra parking spots to sit empty. It's not like they're parking on the street, using the street parking in that retrospect either, so.
I think the complaint maybe is having semis there right now, and if maybe the courthouse needs to look at alternative places to deal with
I
that.
agree.
And, because anytime you put a semi in a residential area, it plugs up a lot of spaces, so.
That's
anyway.
Wednesdays and Thursdays, it's not every day, all day either.
And it's not like you were saying, there's like an overflow going onto the street from the bed and breakfast. It's not happening right now. It's not forcing any more issues, as far as parking on the street.
We got a motion and a second. What's the wish of the council? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ordinance